The space station Unit 9 floated between two suns, hanging like a silver pearl in the endless dark. Inside, humans and Dronari worked together. The piece was new, only 6 months old, and still shaky. One wrong word, one wrong move, and everything could fall apart. Tom adjusted the power relay under a control panel. His face smudged with grease. He wasn't a soldier or a diplomat, just a station engineer. His job was to keep things running: air, lights, heat, all the boring stuff no one noticed unless it broke. He wiped his forehead and leaned back. Done, he muttered. Behind him, a door hissed open. A Dronari soldier entered. She walked tall, wearing black armor with glowing lines. Her skin was a soft gray, smooth and flawless, and her dark silver hair was braided in long strands. Most striking of all was her tail, long, strong, and twitching as she walked. Tom blinked and stood up. She looked serious, eyes sharp and cold. He knew her name from the crew list: Vera, one of the Dronari security officers. She stepped closer, her boots making soft taps on the metal floor. "You are behind schedule," she said, voice calm but stern. Tom rubbed the back of his neck. "Yeah, well, power grid was half fried. Took longer to fix." Vera tilted her head slightly, watching him, her tail flicked. Tom, tired and trying to lighten the mood, gave a small smile. "Nice tail," he joked without thinking. There was a moment of silence. Then everything changed. Vera's eyes widened. Her legs shook. She gasped softly, and her knees buckled as if her strength suddenly vanished. Then, whoosh, her tail burst into bright blue flame. Not real fire, something more like energy, glowing and dancing round the tail like lightning. The air sizzled. Nearby panels beeped in warning. The lights flickered. Tom stepped back, eyes wide. "What the? I didn't mean, what is happening?" Vera fell to one knee, breathing fast. Her hands trembled, and her eyes were locked on Tom's face. "Security breach in Sector 7. A robotic voice announced. "Unknown energy detected. Station lockdown initiated." Red lights flashed. Steel doors slammed shut across the hallway. A squad of soldiers rushed in, both human and Dronari. They surrounded Tom and Vera. "Step away from the officer," a human guard shouted. Tom raised his hands. "I didn't do anything. I made a joke." Vera stood up slowly, her tail still burning with soft blue light. "I need to speak with him," she said quietly, voice full of confusion and something else. Fear. A Dronari elder entered behind the soldiers, robes flowing. His eyes landed on Vera's glowing tail. He looked shocked. "The flame has returned," he whispered. "The old bond, it lives again." "What bond?" "Captain Dale, the human." "Commander, push forward. Someone tell me what's going on." Vera's voice was shaking as she replied. "In our culture, when a tail burns blue, it means a soul link has begun." Tom blinked. What now?" "A soul link," the elder explained, stepping forward. "A rare connection between two beings. It only happens once in a lifetime, sometimes never. It cannot be forced. It chooses." "I didn't choose anything," Tom said quickly. "I was just being friendly." Vera looked at him with wide, confused eyes. "You said something that awakened it, something simple. But it reached deep, Captain." Dale frowned. "Are you saying this is real?" "Yes," the elder replied. "Her energy is changing." And he was the trigger. Tom looked at Vera. Her tail still burned, but softer now, like calm fire instead of a storm. She didn't look angry, just shaken. Vera turned to her people. "I do not accept this bond. I never believed in the stories. I do not want this." The elder shook his head. "The bond is not about belief. It is older than our cities, older than war." Dale looked at his officers. "Take Tom in for questioning. No force. Just keep him safe." "I didn't do anything wrong," Tom said again. "I know," Dale replied. "But until we understand this, you're too important to leave unguarded, too." Soldiers gently guided Tom away. He looked back at Vera. Their eyes met for a brief second. And in that moment, something passed between them. Not words, not thoughts, just a sense, a spark. Tom sat in a clean white room later, drinking water. Scientists were scanning his vitals. Psychologists asked him questions. He kept giving the same answer. I told her she had a nice tail. That's it, outside. News of the incident spread across the station. Some whispered that the flame was dangerous. Others believed it was a sign that humans and Dronari might be meant to work together after all died in a quiet room elsewhere. Vera stared at her still glowing tail. She had never felt so strange, so unsteady, so unsure of herself. She didn't believe in ancient stories. She was a warrior, not a dreamer. But deep inside, something was changing, and no matter how hard she tried, she couldn't stop thinking about that one human with tired eyes, messy hair, and a terrible joke. Vera sat alone in her quarters. The room was quiet, but her mind was not. The blue flame on her tail had faded, but a faint glow still remained, like a sleeping fire that could wake at any moment. She didn't understand what had happened. She had trained all her life as a warrior, strong, disciplined, loyal to her people. She didn't believe in old stories about soul bonds or burning tales. Those were legends told to children, and yet the fire came right after that human spoke. That joke, that one strange moment. Nice tail, he said. Her knees had buckled. Her heart had raced. Then the flame burst to life. It wasn't just embarrassment or surprise. It was something deeper. Now her people watched her differently. Some whispered about destiny. Others kept their distance, afraid of what the fire might mean. She looked down at her tail, the glow still there. I don't want this, she whispered. But the fire didn't care what she wanted. Meanwhile, in the human section of the station, Tom sat in a white room while 3 scientists asked him questions. What did you feel when it happened? Confused, Tom answered. Did you touch her? No, I just said something dumb. The scientists scribbled notes. One of them ran a small scanner over Tom's arm. There's no physical change, the scientist said. But energy readings spiked at the moment of the incident. Tom sighed. Can I go back to work now? Captain Dale entered the room, waving off the scientists. Not yet, he said. Tom, we need to talk. Tom sat up straight. Am I in trouble? No, but you may be involved in something bigger than any of us. Dale handed him a data pad. On it were old Dronari records, ancient art showing humans and Dronari side by side, glowing with the same blue energy. These images are over 1,000 years old, Dale said. We never knew what they meant until now. You think this is some kind of prophecy? Tom asked. I don't believe in stories, Dale replied. But the Dronari do, and right now, many of them think you've awakened a bond their people haven't seen in centuries. Tom scratched his head. All I did was fix a power line and make a bad joke. Sometimes history starts with small things, Dale said. Later that day, Vera requested to see Tom. The meeting was approved, but under full watch by both human and Dronari guards. They met in a quiet room with one table between them. Tom smiled nervously. Hey. Vera didn't smile back. She sat straight, her hands folded. Her tail was still, but a faint blue glow pulsed near the tip. I did not choose this, she said. Same here, Tom replied. I do not believe in soul bonds, she continued. But the energy that woke inside me, it is real. I can feel it. Tom leaned forward. What does it mean? I don't know yet, but I came to ask a question, okay? Are you feeling anything? She asked, voice calm but serious, since the moment it happened. Tom thought about it. I've been a little dizzy, like something's pulling me forward. Like I'm not alone in my own thoughts. Vera nodded slowly. Then it's not just me. There was silence for a moment. Do you want to break it? Tom asked quietly. Vera looked at him with sharp eyes. It is not a thing we can break. The bond chooses. That's what everyone keeps saying, she sighed. I do not want to be a symbol. I am a soldier, not a legend. I don't want to be followed by stories I do not control. Tom gave a small nod. Same. I'm just a guy with a wrench and bad timing. Finally, Vera gave the tiniest smile. It lasted only a second, but Tom saw it, maybe. She said, you're more than that. Later that night, Vera walked alone through the Dronari garden dome. Artificial stars twinkled above the glass ceiling, and gentle wind moved through silver leaf trees. She stopped near a small pool and looked into the water. Her reflection stared back, tail glowing faintly. Suddenly, she heard a voice, not from outside, but inside her mind, a whisper, faint, distant, yet familiar. The fire returns. The bond awakens. She froze. "Who's there?" she asked out loud. No answer. She closed her eyes and focused. The whisper faded. But a strange warmth remained inside her chest. Something had changed inside her. A link had been made, and it was growing. In another part of the station, alarms rang. A nearby satellite detected strange energy signals coming from deep space. And known ships were approaching, fast, silent, and unmarked. Captain Dale looked at the readings. "That's not one of ours," he said. "Dronari, no," his officer replied, "completely different. And they're locking onto the station's old archives." Dale narrowed his eyes. "What are they looking for?" The officer pointed at the screen. "They're tracking the tail flame signal." Back in her room, Vera sat cross-legged, trying to meditate. But her mind wasn't calm. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw fire, stars, and a shape, a shadow of something ancient moving toward her. She opened her eyes and stood up. Then she did something strange. She walked to her wall panel and requested a transfer. Destination, Human Sector, Engineering Bay. Tom was in the workshop, working on a broken drone when Vera walked in. He looked up, surprised. "Everything okay?" She nodded. "I want to learn how you work, how humans fix things." Tom blinked. "Why?" She paused before answering. "If we're linked by something beyond us, I want to understand the part that isn't magic." Tom smiled. "All right, I'll show you how to fix a coolant pump is checked." The workshop buzzed softly with energy tools and blinking lights. Tom handed Vera a small tool with a grin. "This is called a torque spanner. Very useful for stubborn bolts." Vera turned it over in her hands, curious. "Why is it shaped like a hook?" Tom shrugged. "No idea. That's how we got it from Earth. Works though." Vera nodded and crouched beside him near the coolant panel. Together, they began repairing a damaged drone unit. It was strange, peaceful work, quiet, focused. For a moment, she forgot about the glowing tail, the whispers in her head, the bond. She was just learning something new. But the peace didn't last long. A sudden sharp sound hit Vera's ears, not from outside, but from inside her mind, awakened. She gasped and dropped the tool. Her tail flickered blue again. Tom stood up. "You okay?" She looked around the room, then shook her head. Something spoke again, like before. Tom helped her stand. "We need to tell the captain." But before they could leave the workshop, the wall monitor lit up. A red message flashed. Unauthorized energy spike detected Sector 3. Data Vaultum and Vera looked at each other. "I was near that area earlier," she said. "Come on," Tom replied. "Let's go check it out." The jungle-covered moon spun slowly beneath the stars. Clouds of silver mist rolled over wide green trees, and strange animal sounds echoed across the rocky cliffs. Tom and Vera stood near the wreckage of their escape pod. The shuttle was cracked, burnt, and useless now. They were alone. Far above, Unit 9 was just a silent speck of light. "Looks like we're stuck," Tom said, brushing ash from his jacket. Vera checked the small scanner on her wrist. "The signal is weak, but the flame inside me is pulling in one direction." "Your tail again?" Tom asked. She nodded. "The energy inside, it's guiding me." Tom glanced around the thick forest. "All right, let's follow the flame." They gathered supplies, water packs, energy bars, a small toolkit, and started walking through the jungle. The path was difficult. Strange vines tangled around their legs. Insects the size of fists buzzed past. Sharp-eyed creatures watched them from the shadows. But Vera moved like she belonged there. Her steps were sure, her senses sharp. Tom did his best to keep up. After a few hours of walking, they reached a cliff. Below it was a wide valley covered in ancient ruins, tall stone towers, broken to halves. The ruins were quiet as Tom and Vera stepped carefully through the broken stone gates. Blue light pulsed beneath their feet in slow waves, like a sleeping heart waiting to wake up. Tom looked around. This place looks alive. Vera nodded. Her tail was glowing again, brighter than ever. The energy inside her felt stronger here. Almost familiar. We are close, she said. They walked deeper into the ruins. Strange symbols lined the walls. Some looked like stars, others like flames. And wings. A large dome stood at the center of the valley, its entrance half covered by moss and fallen stones. This place wasn't just a city, Vera said softly. It was sacred. Tom cleared a path through the rubble. Inside the dome, the air was cool and still. A soft blue mist floated near the ground. At the center of the chamber was a tall crystal structure, like a flame frozen in glass. As Vera stepped closer, the crystal glowed. Then a voice echoed in the chamber. The flame has returned. Tom jumped back. Did that thing just speak? Vera stood tall, though her heart was racing. Yes, it's a living memory crystal. My people once used them to speak across time. The crystal's glow became stronger. The voice returned. Only the bonded may awaken the Ember Heart. Tom looked at Vera. What's the Ember Heart? I don't know, she admitted. But it seems we were meant to find it. Suddenly, alarms on Vera's scanner beeped. She looked at the screen and froze. Ships approaching, she said. Fast, Ellos. Tom guessed they ran outside and climbed a nearby stone tower. From there, they saw black ships entering the atmosphere. Sleek and sharp, moving like predators. He followed the signal, Vera said. He wants the Ember Heart. Tom grabbed his tool belt. We need a plan. Fast. Within an hour. The sky roared with engines. Dropships landed near the ruins. Armored soldiers marched out, carrying heavy weapons and energy blades. At the front of them stood Ellos, tall, cold, and dangerous. His armor was black and red, and his eyes burned with ambition. The power of the flame returns, he said, looking at the dome. And I will take it. He raised his hand. Find the bonded ones. Bring them alive. Meanwhile, Tom and Vera were setting traps around the crystal dome. Tom used wires, EMP spikes, and small plasma charges from the escape pod wreckage. Vera marked old battle runes on stones, drawn from Dranari warrior rituals. This is not just tech, she said. This place responds to instinct, emotion. Tom looked at her as he tightened a bolt. So we fight smart and with heart. She gave a small smile. Exactly. Soon, enemy forces entered the ruins. The first wave triggered. The traps, explosions shook the ground. Walls fell. Drones sparked and collapsed. But the soldiers kept coming. Vera leapt into the fight with her tail blazing blue. She moved like fire itself, quick, sharp, unstoppable. Her tail flame whipped through the air, striking enemies like a burning blade. Tom stayed near the dome, activating defenses, setting shock traps, and redirecting energy flow to protect the crystal. I'm not a fighter, he muttered, but I can be a very annoying engineer. Vera's flame began to flicker. Too many enemies. Too much pressure. Her energy was fading. Then Ellos stepped forward. I expected more, he said, walking slowly toward her. A fire sparked by. A joke. This is your great bond. Vera raised her head. You fear what you do not understand. He pointed a dark weapon at her. I fear nothing. Tom saw it from behind the wall. Ellos was about to strike. Without thinking, he ran forward and threw himself between them. The blast hit Tom in the chest. He fell. Hard. No. Vera screamed. Her tail exploded with light. Not just blue now, but white-hot and wild. The ground trembled. The symbols on the ruins glowed. The voice from the crystal returned. Bond confirmed. Ember Heart awakening. The dome cracked open. Light poured out from within. A being of pure flame and energy rose, tall, winged, glowing, with Dranari and human patterns across its body. It spoke with many voices. You are fire and steel. You are spark and will. You are worthy. The Ember Heart turned to Ellos and his soldiers. Leave this place or be turned to ash, Ellos growled. No spirit commands me. He fired again. The Emberheart raised one arm, and the blast vanished mid-eye. Then it swept its arm across the valley. A wave of blue flames surged forward. Elos's forces were knocked back like dust in a storm. Elos himself crashed into the ruins and did not rise. Vera ran to Tom. He was breathing, barely. "You protected me," she said, kneeling beside him. "I had to," he whispered. "Can't let your tail go cold." She laughed softly, holding his hand. The Emberheart hovered above them. The bond is strong, but it has only begun. Greater trials await. Vera looked up. "We will face them together." The Emberheart faded into the dome. The ruins slowly quieted above them. Human and Dronari ships appeared in the sky. Reinforcements had arrived. The warlord's threat was over, for now, but something greater had awakened. The fires had faded. The jungle was quiet again, above the ruins. Human and Dronari ships hovered like silent guardians. Rescue crews rushed down. Medics found Tom lying near the crystal dome, still breathing, but weak. Vera stood beside him, her tail dim but warm. The Emberheart had returned to its resting place inside the dome, and the power in her blood had settled, for now. Captain Dale arrived with a squad. He looked around the battlefield, amazed. "You did all this?" Vera nodded. "We didn't plan it. It just happened." Dale knelt beside Tom. "How is he alive?" Vera said softly, "Because he stepped in front of a blast meant for me." Tom's eyes opened slowly. "Did we win?" Dale grinned. "Looks like it." Tom gave a tired smile. "Cool." They brought Tom back to Unit 9 for treatment. Vera stayed at his side. During the journey, when he rested, she sat quietly, thinking. For her, the warlord Elos had been more than an enemy. He had been a symbol of old thinking. Power without understanding. Fire without care. But Tom had been the opposite. Someone with no powers, no training in war. And yet he had changed everything. By standing beside her. By making a simple joke. By choosing to protect instead of destroy. She looked at his bandaged chest. The medics said he would recover, and she would wait. A week passed. Unit 9 buzzed with activity. Engineers repaired damage. Scientists studied the Emberheart recordings. Diplomats from Earth and Dronari homeworlds came aboard to talk about what had happened. Vera stood before the Dronari High Council through a communication holoscreen. "You bonded with a human," the eldest counselor said. "You unlocked the Emberheart." "Yes," Vera replied calmly. "Do you believe this bond is real?" "I feel it," she answered. "In my blood, in my mind, even when he is far, the flame stays with me." The counselor paused. "And the Emberheart it warned us," Vera said. "It said greater trials are coming. We must be ready." Meanwhile, Tom slowly recovered in the medbay. He hated being still, hated the tests and scans and checkups. But the nurses were kind, and so were the visitors. Even Captain Dale brought him a fruit basket. "You're a big deal now," Dale joked. The guy who lit the ancient flame with a one-liner. Tom laughed, then winced. Hurts to laugh. "You rest," Dale said. "We'll need you soon." Tom closed his eyes, thinking about Vera. A few days later, Tom finally left the medbay. He stepped out into the human sector and found Vera waiting. She looked stronger than ever. Standing straight in her black and silver armor, her tail shimmered with a faint blue glow. But when she saw Tom, her face softened. "Hi," he said. She nodded. "Hi." They walked slowly through the gardens of Unit 9. Tom smiled at the trees and glowing flowers. "I never thought I'd be a legend." "You're not," Vera said calmly. Tom blinked. "Oh." She looked at him with a small smile. "You're more than that." He laughed. As they walked, their hands brushed, then slowly held. Later, Captain Dale called them into the command center. A star map lit the screen. One region flashed red. "This area," Dale said, pointing, "used to be empty, dead stars. But now," he zoomed in. Strange signals blinked on the screen. These came after the Emberheart woke. "Something is coming. We don't know what." Vera stared at the map. "The trial it spoke of." Dale nodded. "Whatever the Emberheart is warning about, it's not just a story." Tom looked at Vera. "What do we do?" Dale answered. "We prepare." Vera and Tom spent the next weeks training together, not just in weapons and defense, but in understanding the bond. Scientists measured their energy levels. Mystics from the Dranari temple meditated beside them. The bond between them was real and growing stronger. Sometimes they could sense each other's thoughts. Sometimes they moved in perfect sync without a word. Once, when a reactor overloaded during a drill, Vera's tail flared bright, and Tom's tools glowed with a blue spark. Together, they shut it down in seconds, faster than a whole team could have. The crew began calling them the Flame Pair. One day, the Emberheart sent a message through the dome. Just 2 words, "It begins." The next morning, a small outpost near the red zone vanished. No wreckage, no signals, just silence. Unity-9 sent a scout ship. The pilot returned shaken. He said the stars there looked wrong, and that something was moving behind the light. Something big. An emergency meeting was held between human and Dranari leaders. Vera spoke first. The bond didn't just wake up by chance. The Emberheart wanted us ready. Now we must lead. Some doubted, some feared. But when Tom stood beside, the halls of Unit 9 buzzed with activity. News of the missing outpost had spread quickly, and everyone was on edge. Human and Dranari forces prepared for what might come next. Vera and Tom stood side by side in the command center. Their bond was stronger than ever, her tail glowing softly with blue fire whenever Tom was near, and a quiet warmth spreading inside him. Captain Dale studied the star map. "We don't know what's coming, but it's coming fast." Vera nodded. The Emberheart said this was only the beginning. We must face it together. The two were chosen to lead a new mission, to find the source of the strange energy, and stop it before it threatened more lives. Their ship, the Starfire, was sleek and fast, equipped with the latest human and Dranari technology. As they prepared for launch, Vera turned to Tom. "Are you ready?" Tom smiled. "I'm ready. Let's see what the stars have for us." The journey through space was tense. Sensors picked up strange waves of energy, cold, dark pulses that seemed to swallow light. One night, as Tom repaired the engine, Vera sat beside him. The soft glow of her tail lit the small cabin. "Tom," she said quietly, "I never thought I would trust a human like this." He laughed softly. "Neither did I. But here we are." Their hands brushed, and for a moment, the universe outside felt small. Suddenly, alarms blared. The ship shook as an unseen force struck them. Dark ships appeared from nowhere, surrounding the Starfire. "These are not Ellis's men," Vera said. "Something older, something worse." Tom gripped his tools, ready for anything. The battle was fierce. Energy beams lit the void. Vera's tail blazed like a comet, cutting through enemy fire. Tom controlled the ship's defenses, keeping them alive. But the enemies were many. Just when hope seemed lost, the Unit 9 fleet arrived. Humans and Dranari fighting together, shining like stars in the darkness. After the battle, the captain addressed the crew. "The enemy is ancient. They want to extinguish all life in this sector. But humanity and Dranari will not fall." Vera stepped forward. "Our bond is proof. We can be stronger together." Tom smiled, feeling the warmth of her tail beside him. The journey continued. They discovered ancient ruins on a forgotten planet, the birthplace of the Emberheart. There, they found records of an ancient war, where humans and Dranari once fought side by side against the darkness that threatened the galaxy. Vera read aloud, "Only by joining our flames can we keep the dark at bay." Tom looked at her. "Looks like history is repeating itself." Their bond unlocked new powers. Together, they could channel the Emberheart's energy, creating shields, healing wounds, and striking enemies with controlled bursts of flame. But with power came danger. The dark force followed them relentlessly, testing their limits. One night, as the stars shone cold outside, Vera whispered, "I'm scared." Tom took her hand. "So am I. But we face it together." Her tail glowed warmly, wrapping around his wrist like a promise. Finally, they reached the heart of the darkness, a massive shadow drifting between stars, consuming light and life. Vera and Tom stood at the edge of the battlefield, ready to fight for everything they loved. With a deep breath, Vera raised her blazing tail. Tom ignited his tools with the Ember Heart's energy dot side by side. They charged into the void, two sparks becoming one unstoppable flame.